Good evening, people. Happy Thursday to you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining me on Pro Fan Talk. Good to see you. Happy Thursday to everybody. What's going on? What is going on? It's been another crazy week. Stuff going down. It was kind of a slow um, news cycle. Then all of a sudden, it just blew up. You had this stuff going on. Phillies bats are getting hot. Then just the other day, you had the Baker Mayfield trade. What's up, Vince? First in the chat. I appreciate you, brother. What's up, TK? Good to see you. So it was started out kind of slow and it just popped. Everything just popped. What's going on, Chris? So Sixers in the mix. NFL is in the mix. Baker Mayfield trades in the mix. The Phillies in the mix. Philadelphia being 4 for 4 right now. We haven't been 4 for 4 in a little bit. And really, okay, maybe it's not 4 for 4. Maybe it's like 3.75 out of 4 because we don't know what the Flyers are going to do. But the Flyers have made some noise with signing Tortorella as the head coach. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt until I see different. So I know he's going to make a difference. So I'm just happy to hear that. Happy to see that as far as Philadelphia is concerned. Everybody smash that like button for me. Let's get them likes up. We're still trying to show and grow. So most people saw my poll question this week was will the Phillies catch the Mets? Because the Phillies bats are smoking right now. Kyle Schwarber, last 7 days, he's hitting 333, got a 360 on base percentage, and he's slugging at 958. And Castellanos is right behind him. The bats have woken up. So glad. What's up, Sean? So glad that the injury to Harper has not affected our bats too much or affected our morale. That's a good place to be, knowing that when your best goes down, it's the next man up, and y'all keep chopping wood. That's what you need to do. Still a long season. We still looking good though. We still looking good. We looking where are we at? We are, let me check my notes. We are 43-39 right now. The Mets are at 51-31, and Atlanta is 49-34. So really, Atlanta should be the goalpost right now, not the Mets. The Mets are balling right now. So realistically, us at 43-39, and the Braves are 49-34. The Braves looked at least to be in our sights. So the first and third picks in 2018 draft are now on the Panthers. We'll get to that. We'll get to that, Vince. But yeah. The Phils, the fighting Phils, man, they are doing it up. They are doing it up. We're gonna talk about my boy Ohtani because he's one of my top 5 must-see TVs, and he did it again the other night. This dude just don't stop, man. He just don't stop. He's that good. But let's start out with the breaking news. That Baker Mayfield, he is in Carolina. I thought that business had sailed. I thought that ship was gone. Water under the bridge. I didn't see that happening. Rumblings, because he had to go somewhere. The whole thing with the Browns is just not going to work. Imagine all them people buying season tickets thinking they getting Deshaun Watson, and now they getting Jacoby Brissett. So, no shade at Brissett, but he ain't Deshaun Watson. But and you know what? Who's to say that Deshaun Watson would have been all that great? So, he's an elite level QB, so he definitely would have been better. But you never know till you step on the field. So, and it looks like we're not going to find out until next year about Deshaun anyway. So, that's kind of crazy. But Baker is in Carolina. He is a Panther. So, my question is, did you see the tweets about Robbie Anderson? Because all the stuff Robbie Anderson when it was first talked about that Baker Mayfield might go to Carolina. This was Robbie Anderson tweets. He was like, no. So I don't know. He spoke to the media and he said he ain't got no beef. And I'm sure he doesn't. But when you put stuff out there like that, you know they're gonna come with the receipts. So you just got to be careful. But that in the big scheme of things, that ain't the worst. I mean, I'm sure it could have been a lot worse, but what is he gonna do? Never in a million years when this first popped off would he have thought that Baker was going to end up in Carolina. That was the last thing he was thinking about. So that don't bother me that much. You're going to get a lot of if Baker Mayfield can't deal with that, then yeah, it's time for him to hang up the cleats because he ain't ready for nothing. So he going to get a lot about, a lot of stuff like that, a lot of talk. He going to get a lot of side gawks. But at the end of the day, if he come in there and he starts slinging that ball around, all of that stuff going to shut up. Robbie Anderson included. Robbie Anderson is going to be his best friend because they're in a bad situation right now because you don't know what you're going to get from Baker. The big thing with Baker Mayfield, let us not forget, take last year out of the equation because he was hurt, period. He had a busted shoulder. He played on the bum shoulder, trying to play soldier for his squad, and he took the brunt of it. Didn't really complain too much, didn't really say it was a shoulder. He tried to play through it, and it didn't work out. And now I'm curious to see what his health is like. So you don't know necessarily what you get, what kind of I think he got surgery. What kind of rehab has he done? Has anybody seen him throwing the ball? All of those questions. Sean, I'm reading your tweet, dude. Baker just started to have an in-law suite built in Section 305. We'll see what's going to happen. We'll see if his in-laws want to show up. Because even in Carolina, even in Southern hospitality style place like North Carolina, Charlotte, they're going to turn on you too if you ain't balling. That's the long and short of it. You got to have your stuff together. And at the end of the day, if you ball, they will come. They will wear them 6 jerseys in Carolina just like anybody else. So Robbie Anderson will be an afterthought and hope he don't get burned at some point in time. So we'll see what's going to happen with that. But what they going to do with this dude? Now, the funny part about I don't have no problem with Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold is a young quarterback. I guess he really ain't that young, but, he got his struggles like everybody else. But the problem with Sam Darnold is Sam Darnold got that C on his chest. And they just about to rip that off like it's a scab. That he done already been through enough mental issues in Carolina. Now that's by his own admittance. That's not nobody throwing shade. That came out of his own mouth. The stuff that he was dealing with. Yeah, they're gonna have to do the run CMC, hand the ball off. You better follow Nick Sirianni's plan. If it ain't working for you in the air, you better hand the ball off and let them dudes you paying that money run the rock. You got one of the top weapons in the league running the ball and catching the ball out the backfield. You better use them. So that's not going to do nothing but help you out. So we'll see what they do. Matt Rule is on his last leg. If Matt Rule don't make it to the playoffs, Matt Rule is going to be promoted to fan. He'll be a assistant coach on somebody else's team. So, and I'm pulling for Matt Rule because he was guy here at Temple and he did some things here and he made Temple football relevant, like really relevant, national news type relevant. So Matt Rule knows what he's doing. But it's a different beast when you step to that NFL. When you got to step behind that shield, it's a different beast. Everybody's good, everybody's fast. You got the best of the best of the best on everybody's staff. So you really got to have your wits about you so you can out chess whoever you playing. That's my fear with Sirianni, that sometimes, to get this, whether you like them as a hire or not, he's in this position and he's had success in this position now. You can say that. So as a rookie head coach, he had a good first year. He could have had an even better first year if he would have followed, some obvious clues that, hey, maybe we shouldn't be throwing the ball so much. Maybe we need to be running the ball a little bit more. So Matt Rule is in the hot seat. Hey, moms. So I'm interested to see what he's going to do. But at the end of the day, on any team, on every team in the league, it's all on your QB. It's all on your QB. Excuse me. So we'll see what Sam Darnold's going to do. Because now he was worried about fighting off the rookie. He had that whole thing about the showing the rookie what to do, and this, is he going to teach him and tutor him and all? That's not my job, and you know what the deal is. You're not gonna not answer questions, especially if you're the quarterback. So he'll be fine. But now that just puts another situation, because now, after all of that stuff that he went through, what he was going to do with the rookie, and after all of that stuff, now he's in direct competition with Baker Mayfield. I'm not going to say that Baker Mayfield is a better quarterback, but I think Baker Mayfield is a better quarterback. Let's not forget, Baker Mayfield took the Browns to the playoffs, man. That counts for something. So Darnold has got to show up. Got to show up. So real quick, shout out to my man, Schwarber. We just talked about him. Keep doing your thing, man. You might be in the lineup in the race for the MVP if you keep swinging that bat like you're swinging it. So keep on doing that. Didn't know what was going to happen after Harper broke his thumb. So we just got to keep these bats hot. But we've got Sixers made the news this week. We had the trades going on. Then it was quiet. Pete, you disagree with the poll? You don't think we're going to catch? You might not have heard me earlier, Pete. I might disagree. I don't think they're going to catch the Nets. I mean, the Mets, not the Nets. The Mets. But I think we can catch Atlanta. So, what's up, Frank? Frank thinks it's a smart move to get Carolina, to get Baker in Carolina. Doesn't tilt the needle, the Panthers and the NFC. Not really, unless somebody just does something amazing this year. And you got to remember, man, I don't care what team you on, how good you are. Every team is one injury away from being great or being horrible. You're one injury away from ruin, because if the best player on the team goes down, that's the best player on the team. Do you have somebody as a backup that can fill in? Don't know. That could be a boom, because if one player goes down, then you got somebody that can step in the role. Maybe they've been waiting for their shot. Maybe this dude, everybody on the team knew this dude was the truth, and now he's finally getting his shot. I remember my rookie year, there was a guy on the squad, Jimmy Smith. Jimmy Smith had his best years in Jacksonville after he got out of Carolina. Jimmy Smith was I think we were kind of in the same situation. We were on the active roster, but we would always be the guys inactive. So we would always be the guys on the sideline with the the credentials on the sideline, holding water bottles and all of that kind of stuff, watching what's going on. That's how they did Smith. He ended up playing a little bit, but it wasn't until he got out of Philadelphia that he got down to Jacksonville and just went to work. Him and I think Brunel was down at the time, went to work. And then you look at people like that. How come they didn't see that talent in Philadelphia? It was there. Everybody knew that Jimmy Smith was good. We went to camp with him. We saw what he did in camp, but for whatever reason, they didn't pull the trigger on him, and he just sat back there and didn't do. And could he have helped us? Absolutely. But you never know what somebody's thinking. Never know what the coach is thinking. They got their reasoning. They got their guys. So there's a lot to go in that on who your guys are. So on that note, this year, I'm very interested to see Pascal. We got Pascal from Indy. That's one of Sirianni's guys. So I'm very interested. You haven't heard much about him in camp. But for a coach to reach out and go get you, that says a little something about you. That says something about the relationship. So he knows some things, and he's used to some things that maybe some of the other wide receivers may not be used to. So I can see Pascal, he's going to get a little play this year because I believe it's going to be between Pascal and Quez Watkins. Quez Watkins is penciled in. That doesn't mean anything. We got to see what happens in camp. Can't wait till camp starts. Can't wait till camp starts. People are so hungry for any type of news. They go to them training camps and 7-on-7 stuff, and they see a good throw, a bad throw, and then people lose their ever-loving mind. That was the greatest throw in the world. You saw what happened down in Miami. Tua underthrew a ball, warming up. The dude was throwing the ball with a fishing hat on. They wasn't doing nothing serious. They were just warming up. And that throw went, why would the Miami Dolphins show that? And it was like, why not? He wasn't doing nothing but warming up, and they wanted to show a throw from him to Tyreek Hill. I could show you a whole bunch of throws to Tyreek Hill from Mahomes that were underthrown. Everybody does that. And they, again, you hear me say critical mass, the smallest thing they take it and run with it. So don't put too much stock in that until you see the people on the field. And when you see them on the field, you're going up against vanilla defenses. None of the teams are going to show anything in preseason. So you're just seeing who has a nose for the ball, who knows their routes, who's aggressive in the defensive backfield, what kind of movement are you getting on your offensive line, what are the rookies looking like on our defensive line, are they getting penetration? I want to see what Jordan Davis is going to do against a double team and possibly a triple team. I want to see some of those answers. And even that you're not going to see in preseason. I want to see what Jordan Davis does on the twist, or if somebody's pulling, can he wreak havoc and mess up a pulling guard's path? Stuff like that. He ain't got to make all the tackles. I want to see how they're going to play Hassan Reddick. Are they going to play him up as an outside linebacker? Are they going to put his hand in the dirt and let him come off the edge? What are they going to do? What is Hargrave going to look like? You got a lot of questions going on this year with the Birds because you don't know what's going to happen. So we got a lot of stuff, a lot of question marks, and you're not going to see it. You're not going to see any answers until preseason is over. And I keep saying this, and I'm going to remind people about this. Do not pass judgment on the Eagles until going into week 4. Matter of fact, until going out of week 4. Let me change it, because now we have 17 games. So you got to give, by the 4th game, and this is just my personal opinion, by the 4th game, week 4, you know what you got. You've seen enough of the squads to know what you got. There's not a flash in the pan, because I've seen some people have a good first game and then you don't hear nothing else from them. So you get 4-game sample size. You know what you got. You know who your best running back is. You know what your quarterback's looking like. You know everything you need to see. You know how our defense is playing. You got all them questions answered. Then, as the season goes on, then you see what your team is made of mentally, how they adjust. Somebody's going to get nicked up. Somebody's going to go down. Somebody's going to have to step in. Then you really see what you got. Maybe this person is playing with the ones. Maybe he shouldn't be. So we'll see. We'll see when we get to week 4. We'll know what we got. We will definitely know what we got. So I'm gonna switch gears real quick. These y'all questions is throwing me off. So I know it ain't a lot of people here, but the chat, I'm digging the chat, man. I was talking about the Sixers. Sixers got in the news with the trade, right? We got our guy from the Heat. Then out of the blue, out of nowhere, you got Jimmy Butler running in his mouth. So PJ Tucker, him and Jimmy Butler, they played. They went to war together down in Miami, and PJ Tucker puts out this nice tweet thanking everybody in Miami and all of that kind of stuff, and that's what he's supposed to do. I'm sure he had feelings about leaving, but he did what he felt was best. And then Jimmy Butler was like, F you guys. F you and Joel Embiid. Yeah, I brought him into this. And and what you gonna do about it? So Jimmy Butler is salty and petty. That is hilarious. That is absolutely hilarious. And like he said it, I mentioned Joel Embiid's name. So a lot of people think he was just Jimmy being Jimmy, nothing serious about it, but it's still funny and it still looked like it's kind of petty because Jimmy balled this year in the playoffs, man. He balled, but it's something to be said, man, when you a star, but you ain't a superstar. There's a difference. A superstar is going to take you to that next level. You need a couple of stars on your team, but a superstar can do it by himself. That's why when you look at somebody like LeBron, come on, man. LeBron took Cleveland to the championship. And then, you gotta be able to get over the top. You gotta be able to get over the top. So Jimmy Butler, he balled out and he is a verified star, but he is not a superstar. So, and he's missing some pieces. So we'll see what they do next year, but I just thought that was funny. And if he's going to launch that salvo, I'm expecting to see some others. And you know what? Keeps his name in the news. We keep talking about him. He likes to play the villain. So we'll see how it goes down. That's funny. That is funny. Because I can see Jimmy Butler calling into the radio up here in Philly and having it out. And because that's the type of person he is. So to me, that was absolutely hilarious. So, but he, trying to roast his boy. He's going to be good for us next year. I'm looking for some, he's going to bring some necessary toughness. I think he's going to have the same role like Jimmy Butler did before he left. He's going to be, at least I'm hoping, he's going to be in Joel Embiid's ear. He's going to be somebody that can stare down James Harden and listen, man, you got to keep him up. He's somebody that Maxey can learn from. Because I thought, I got to go back and look at that. And Chris, if you still on, put something in the chat. What ended up happening that game when Tyrese Maxey and James Harden was going at it? Tyrese Maxey didn't want to sit by him and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, I understand Tyrese Maxey's attitude about whatever was going on. He ain't like it. But James Harden as a veteran and Tyrese Maxey as a young player, that didn't look right to me. Because I was like, why is this young kid punking you and you one of the best to play? So how's he upping you? Like, what was going on? You didn't see that, Chris? Okay. I want to look into that. Like, what was said or what was Harden doing? Because Maxey was like, really, dude? Like, Maxey was giving him the gas face for real. So I never heard anything about it. You know, I think they talked about it after the game, and then they left it alone. I was like, I always wondered what the deal was with that. Like, what was Harden doing? Was he not passing the ball? Was he just doing his own thing? And you know, I just thought that was interesting because the real alpha personality ain't gonna go for that. So, but Harden is not that. Harden's a superstar, but he's not. Well, he used to be a superstar. He's a star. He's on star level now. But so, and you know what? Because my if I'd have been more 76ers centric tonight, I would have asked this poll question: do the Sixers have a realistic chance to get KD? So at least we're in the running. I never in a million years would have thought at least the 76ers would at least be in the conversation for Kevin Durant. I meant to add, I saw a tweet. If you saw it on my Facebook fan page, Pro Fan Perspective, I had a picture of Kevin Durant, and it said Kevin Durant just signed with the LA Rams, and they had him in the Rams uniform. And I thought that was kind of funny. But I tell you what, Kevin Durant is kind of soiling his legacy because now he getting lumped kind of in that category. Like, does he have to be with somebody else to win? And like people forget about what he did in Golden State when he took them to the championships. Like he drove that bus. And because of everything that happened, and he's been traded a couple times, and he hasn't really done anything, especially with all of the hype that he got going to Brooklyn. Brooklyn was supposed to be beast, and they didn't do jack squat. And on top of that, the whole Ben Simmons issue, he gets up there, they don't do jack squat, although they do come down here and bust our behind. So it's funny how all of that turned out, and everybody's laughing. And now you see Ben Simmons is sending out tweets, and I don't know what he's doing. He working with all them filters. I think Harden and Durant did have a falling out, but man, it's the pro game, dude. That happens. I don't think fans understand or realize how often that happens when two teammates get into it. It happens a lot, especially when you're talking about basketball. You go back and you look at all of those interviews with Jordan, all those interviews with Kobe, like Kobe, Shaq, all them dudes. Them dudes ain't get along. That comes with the business. That's why I thought the whole situation with Jimmy Butler was so funny. That's the business of the game. You're not there to be everybody's friend. It helps. It definitely helps because when you friendly with somebody as your teammate, you see things that on the court you get in sync. Chris used to yell at the men's league. But yeah, man, it's I want him to bring the noise this year. And I hope him being on the bench is going to help out Maxey and quiet Harden down. Maybe Harden is the wrong voice in Maxey's ear unless they trade him and we get KD. I saw that too. Let me see. Karan, as a player, do you think winning is more important than friendships? Uh, yes, because ultimately on a team, that's what you are there to do. In the process, you build those friendships. But make no mistake, you go. If you are on a team, you are there for business, and the business is winning championships. The business is not being friends. Friendships are a byproduct of a championship team. You're gonna have it on every team, and you're gonna have some guys on the team that you just don't get along with, and you ain't friends with. But come Sunday, that dude gonna put it down, and he can look at you, and you gonna do what you got to do because y'all teammates. So you can get past the friendship. You're not on the team to be friends. You on the team to play ball, and you got to remember every year you got somebody trying to take your spot, and you might become friends with the dude that takes your spot because that's the way the game is played. That's the nature of the beast. Yeah, man. The 80, that's a good point, Sean. The 80 Celtics team, they didn't get along. No, they didn't get along. But when it was time to bang, when it's time to put it on the court, they knew what time it was. I'm telling you again, go look at all of them, all of those uh, interviews with Jordan and people around Jordan. He didn't get along with them. Just there's a bunch of stories that Kobe, like, not Kobe, but um, when Chicago signed Rodman, and I saw the interview when Jordan talked to Rodman and was like, "Listen, man, I vouch for you. I got you here for a reason. Don't give me no crap." And Rodman was notorious. He had already earned that moniker when he was with Detroit. Now Rodman was a beast on the boards. He was a beast. Yeah, man. Good point, Vince. Right, my hometown, Cincinnati, Big Red Machines. Um, it wasn't that bad. There was a couple of personalities that didn't sync up, but for the most part, they did what they had to do. Um, Shout out to Sparky Anderson. Sparky Anderson was one of them type of managers that knew how to keep everything together. So uh, the 88 Reds, same way, with some people they didn't get along. And then you had all of that stuff going on with Marge Schott. She was racist and very divisive in some of the stuff that she did. But that team managed to put it all together. Some of the stuff she said, the famous quote that she had about Eric Davis. And I've had Eric Davis on my podcast before. And it's the stuff that, for him to be balling like he did to get us to the World Series and get hurt, and they ain't even want to fly him home. Like, she was, and I'm saying all that to say that everybody ain't gonna be your friend, but they ain't supposed to. So, you ain't there to be friends. So, what they say, business is business and friends are friends. Don't confuse the two. Because I can tell you some stories about some of the dudes I played with over in Scotland. We didn't get along. So, how do you think NBA babies playing in the league now will affect the game? I don't know. People, that has a tendency to even itself out. That smooths itself out. I don't worry about stuff like that because that type of stuff has been going on for a long time. This is not new. The difference is now you just see it. Social media, they broadcast everything. They broadcast the G League. They broadcast everything. Back in the day, you didn't see that. If something was going on, if it wasn't in the paper, you didn't know about it. And that's how teams succeeded. All of the crap that they had going on internally, they could keep it on the hush because if it wasn't a beat reporter in the locker room, didn't nobody know. Did nobody know? You talking about Vince, you were talking about the big red machine. Did nobody really know that stuff really until after the fact? You heard rumblings and stuff like that, but that stuff didn't come back until that didn't come out until way later. Because that was it, you had it, you know. I remember when I played, I remember after Randall got hurt, when Randall tore his knee against the Jets, um, and then we had a bad Bubby Brister came in. We had just signed him. Bubby Brister didn't even know the offense yet, but you know he gave it his best effort, and we was catching hell from the press. And back then, I remember Kotite saying, "Don't talk to nobody in the paper. Don't read the paper. If they want to give you an interview, keep it short. Just don't engage." And you could do that back then because everything was I think I said it last week. If you were dealing with a reporter or something like that, yeah, when I was talking about Ray Didinger back in those days, and even when I was playing, if a reporter had something to say, or you didn't like what was written in the paper, that reporter had to come see you in the locker room. So he had to have enough gumption to look you in the eye. He had to have the balls to stand in your face and ask you them questions. Now, there were some other things going on, but because even back then, some of the female reporters, I know I think I was the first, 93 was the first year that female reporters could come in the locker room, I think. And we had this one reporter, her name was Gwen Knopp, I think her name was. And she wasn't, she did her job, but you could, how people don't want to deal with somebody, so they give you a little extra. And rest assured that, when they did the whole thing with females in the locker room, rest assured that the first thing the dudes was doing was they would sit at their locker room, fresh out the shower, with nothing but a towel on. And sometimes they would take the towel off. If y'all go back and watch Any Given Sunday, that scene where what's her name? What's her name from Chick from the Mask and Charlie's Angels. Why can't I think of her name? The one that's supposed to be doing the thing with she just came out of retirement. But anyways, something about Mary Girl. There's a scene in that movie where she walks in the locker room and she tells the dude don't Cameron Diaz, thank you. Getting old, man. Cameron Diaz walks in the locker room. She was Miss Pagliacci. She was the new owner of the team, and she tells the dude, "Don't stiffen up on me." And she walked into because that was a famous scene because that was a news scene because there was a lot of guys in the background with nothing on, and they showed everything. Yep, that used to happen like for real because there were some guys that they just had that kind of that chauvinistic attitude, like I don't want women in my locker room, so they would do everything they could to make female reporters uncomfortable. And the easiest thing to do, and I don't understand why the NFL didn't see this coming. Well, I think they did see it coming, but at that time they didn't care. But the first thing they would do was they would come out the shower, be wringing wet, and sit there with the towel over their shoulders, leaning down and doing what they had to do. And, you talking about keeping your eyes up. It was crazy back then, man. But I'm saying all to say you could tell a team not to talk to the press, and you can keep everything in house. Now it's next to impossible. Shout out to all of these pro players, and there's a good number of them, but not too many that do what they got to do and are not big on social media. Karan, what are you talking about? Relationship with the players, like a relationship with players is just like the relationship with your classmates that you went to school with. Some people you good friends with, some people just passing by. Even when I was in college, there was a group of people that I hung with all the time. Even me being in the frat, I pledged Alpha, and there was some of my frat that I hung out with all the time, and there was some of my frat that I did not. It was some Qs that I hung out with all the time and some Sigmas that I hang out with all the time. So it's all about relationships are based on your personalities vibing. A couple weeks ago, Willie T was my guest. Willie T was one of the first dudes I clicked with when I was with the Eagles. Me and him had a lot of similarities. We had a lot of things in common. So to this day, we are still best friends. He was the best man at my wedding, all of that stuff. But all of that came from we had a lot of things alike. We both like computers. We were kind of nerds, different things, like stuff like that. We like to play golf at the same time, all of that kind of stuff. So we just vibe like that. That's it. It's just like it's friendships, just like anything else. Just like you hear a lot of that when you talk to guys that were in the military. They not super tight with all of the dudes in their group or their platoon or whatever you call it, but there's some guys that they ride or die dudes. It's the same way. Is there a side concern winning in opposed to the limelight? Yeah. Prime example is AB, Antonio Brown. Before he, went off the deep end, look at his last few years in Pittsburgh. Remember when social media, when the stuff hit the fan, was when he was he live streaming on YouTube or Twitter or something like that when Tomlin was giving a speech. Now that is taboo, because when you're in the locker room, especially in this day and age, people are very big on what's said here stays here. And for Antonio Brown to do what he did in that locker room at that moment, basically he spit in Mike Tomlin's face, in my opinion. Tomlin handled it as best as he could, but you just don't. That's one of those things where, and it's hard with a player like Antonio Brown because he's so big and he's so talented. That is where you need a very strong veteran leader in the locker room. Seth Joyner wouldn't have dealt with that. I'm sure James Harrison may have had some words for Antonio Brown. But again, it's a little different now because social media makes everybody so big, and he making the money and everything that comes with that. Everything that comes with that. When I played, our biggest, it was Randall Cunningham, Herschel Walker. Reggie was gone. We had B&E, Eric Allen, and Seth, and Clyde Simmons. But it was my estimation that Eric Allen, Seth was definitely the leader on the defense, Seth and Clyde, but Eric Allen was one of the bigger names because Eric Allen was balling back then. And Randall and Herschel. Herschel, because he had made a deal with Dallas, Herschel had some history. He had the USFL, all of that stuff in Dallas. So Herschel was a big name. So, but I think Randall was the leader of defense and Seth was the leader of Randall was the leader of the offense and Seth on defense. So Seth was one of them dudes that give you that look, and you're like, yeah, you don't want to, you don't want to get on the bad side, because they were still the Philadelphia gangrene defense, and they were still intimidating. So as a rookie coming in, you didn't want to mess up. You didn't want them dudes on your case. Let me just say it like that. And there were a few guys in camp, they ruffled the wrong feathers. So you can be chill, and you can just like anything else, man. What do you do? Let me put it to you like this, Karan. What do you do when if you work for a company and the person that's number one in sales, and because he's number one in sales, you get paid because he's number one in sales. Everybody benefits from him being number one in sales, but he's an asshole. What do you do with that? Because his success can determine how much money you got in your pocket. It's the same way on the NFL. If Antonio Brown is an idiot and he don't play because he gets suspended or something, and you don't make the playoffs, and all those guys don't get playoff checks and all of that kind of stuff, it all comes down to money at some point in time. So if you costing somebody money, people gonna have a problem with you. That's a big reason why T.O. and the T.O. and McNabb thing popped off. T.O. wanted Donovan to have his back. And I don't necessarily disagree with that. However, you don't speak on somebody else's money. And that put Donovan in a bad situation because that's not his place to go to somebody and say, hey, I want this. And that's not his place to do that. So that put him in a bad situation. And it just made that little divide a chasm. So, like I said, business is business and friends are friends. Don't confuse the two. So it's a lot of stuff, man. But man, this hour's flying. I wanted to hit on my man, Demaryius Thomas. Definitely want to talk about Demaryius Thomas because now, after his death, of course, now you got CTE. Y'all think you be BSing like my recall? It gets bad. Why you think I'm stuttering on trying to figure out Cameron Diaz? As many movies as I watch, I should know that like the snap of a finger. But I understand. I'm getting older. Luckily, all my marbles are still in place. They just rattle around a little bit. So that's sobering news, though. You know what I mean? I put this post out on my Facebook page, and I was like, CTE, discovery on Demaryius Thomas is just another sobering reminder of the risk we all take playing this game. I also played with Andre Waters and Wes Hopkins. They were my teammates, and they are gone, both of them. I know Andre Waters is verified. He had CTE. Wes Hop, I don't know if it's verified, but I'm pretty sure that that's what most people believe happened. Because Wes Hop was a hard hitter too. Don't get it twisted, man. Both of them jokers would light you up. So, and me having a relatively short career, I had a year in the preseason with the Eagles. My second year in the Eagles, I had a mediocre camp, and they had just drafted Charlie Garner. So I got released. Charlie went on to do what Charlie did. I bounced around some camps, played in the World League, played in Canada, and then that was a wrap. So realistically, I think I had like 5.5, almost 6 years of actually playing football professionally. And I used to think back on, I wonder if I'd have did this different. I wonder if I would have went left instead of going right. Would I have went to Carolina instead of getting signed by Jacksonville? I was in Jacksonville's Camp Coughlin, Tom Coughlin's first camp in Jacksonville. I was there the last 2 weeks of that. 3 weeks, I mean. But if I'd have done things differently before that, like, you know, you think about all those things in the path you could have taken. But me thinking about that, would it have prolonged my career? I always say I was one play away from $1 million. Because all it takes is one play. All it takes is for you to make one tackle till you get seen. You make one tackle on special teams. Now you're a special teams player. And I know many guys that were special teams players and had 8 and 10-year careers running down, making tackles on kickoff. It's a living. And now you can be a maintenance guy. You know, just you go down there, you're a special teams guy, but the minimum in the league continues to grow up. So you're making good money. But when you look at the CTE stuff, all the banging you take, camp bodies. They bring you in, they sign you, and they want you to be a camp body. So me as a running back, definitely a camp body. Because you go down there, you running, you got to get a defense something to look at, and they pounding you. Now remember, back then, it was 2 days. We was full tilt both practices. So we were getting it in. And me as a running back, I'm catching hell. Because if you're a running back, you always know there's a period every day, like 2 or 3 times a week, especially in camp. It's called blitz pickup. And it's all about me as a running back being able to hear the offensive lineman's calls, recognizing the blitz. As a running back, you block inside to outside. Most times, If somebody's coming on the inside, it is a Mike or inside linebacker outweighing me anywhere from 20 to 50 pounds. And I got to pick him up. I got to fill that gap and make sure he doesn't get to my quarterback. What do? No, Vince, I was never late for a Coughlin meeting. But you talking about banging, man. I never forget. I made it. One of my big goals my rookie year was I wanted to be on a team long enough to play in Cincinnati. We had a preseason game against the Bengals. I think it was the second or third preseason game. I think third, fourth quarter, can't remember what it is. I'm in the game. And of course, we got blitz pickup. Mike linebacker comes through. I don't know who this dude was. All I know is he was twice the size of me. And he's coming through the A gap. The center is engaged to the left. My right guard is engaged to the defensive tackle to my right. So now I got the A gap. So anybody comes through, I got him. And here comes the Mike backer. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. So I step up in the hole. I duck my head and I tuck my shoulder. And I think he flipped over. Definitely got a concussion of that because I wouldn't. You know how you they say when you got your bell rung and your fingertips start tingling, that's a concussion. I couldn't tell you how many times that happened. When you get a little dinger and your fingertips start tingling. I remember it's weird when you accumulate all of these blows to the head, and of course you start forgetting stuff and mental things start happening to you. But I found it funny that I remember the first concussion I ever got. First concussion I ever got, I was playing 10 heavy football in St. Louis, Missouri for West County Vikings, growing up in St. Louis. And you a kid, you don't care what position you play, you just want to play. I was a nose guard. And I was lined up, and the center went one way, and I shot the gap, and the fullback got the ball, and we banged heads like that. I made the tackle, but that was the first time I ever felt that feeling where your fingertips tingle. Then you multiply that, how many times does that happen? Where you don't get a real concussion, but you just get a dinger. And that was just like, okay, you good. You just got your bell rung. Let me know when you're ready to go back in the game. That stuff adds up, man. And then when I was in high school, now mind you, we were the 12th best high school in the country. So we were balling. We won a state title. Princeton High School, Cincinnati, Ohio. Put your hand over your heart every time you say it. Don't get it twisted. But I remember there was a game my senior year. I played, I don't know, about a quarter unconscious. How do you play ball unconscious? I was awake and running on instinct. And I took a hit. I guess somebody made a tackle, hit me. I don't know what happened. But I know I was out of it. And I did not come. I didn't come to until halftime. And it was like, it literally feels like somebody takes a blanket off your head and just lifts it up. And it's just like, instead of fade to black, it's like fade to live. Now you're seeing everything, the colors come back. And it's almost like they turn up the volume while it's happening. And then you're like, oh, snap. Like, you're looking around like, and I remember, I'm like, what happened? And my boy was like, yo, you scored a touchdown. And I was like, I did? He was like, and they, laughing at me like, you don't remember? I didn't remember. I didn't remember what happened until the next day watching film, and I saw what happened. I was like, oh, dang. And of course, other things happened in college. I got my bell rung a couple times. I'll never forget Eastern Kentucky playing against Northeast Louisiana. I scored a touchdown, left my feet, had to dive over the end zone, and this big defensive end like smacked me. I scored, but my head was ringing. And I had to tell my coach, like, Coach, I can't remember the plays right now. Like, I was like out of it. And I sat my butt down, and he kept looking at me like, I need you back in the game. And I kept looking at him like, nah. Like, I can't. We ended up winning on a crazy play. But yeah, I was like the only time I remember one time in Scotland, I made a tackle on special teams, and the dude tried to jump over me, and his knee hit the top of my head, and I couldn't even walk back to the huddle, to the sideline. They had to help me off because I was wobbly. And the funny part is, and this is where the thing with Antonio Brown and I think Carson Wentz, in my opinion, um, when they took me off to the sideline, the coach was like, "Marcus, you're done. Like you're done for the day." And I was like, "I'm all right. I can go back in." And I'm still trying to. And my boy came over, Alan DeGraffenreid, one of my homeboys. He was like, "Dude, just sit it down." And I said, I snapped at him. Like I said something to the effect, like I could be dead tomorrow or something. I got to get in there. Like I said something like way out of pocket off the cuff. And I remember Alan's face was like, okay. And he just walked away. But so when I see stuff like Antonio Brown has not been the same since that Vontaze Burfict hit. Look it up. He has not been the same since he took that hit. And I say Carson Wentz has not been the same since he took that hit to the back of the head that ended up knocking him out the year after the Super Bowl. That's when stuff started getting weird. So that stuff, and I've experienced that shift in attitude. And it was like immediately after the game, he was like, "Yo, you all right?" DeGraff was like, "Are you good?" And I was like, "Yeah." We shook it off, and because I knew better and I knew I was wrong, and they was looking out for me. But you take somebody like that hit that Vontaze Burfict delivered, he knocked him out. Somebody's knocked out bad. You've seen it in MMA, you see it in NFL when somebody's hands are straight up, when they go down and their hands are locked straight up. That's when they took real damage. That's like car crash type damage. You can even look it up. Some people that have been in bad car crashes, their personality changes after that. So when I see stuff like that, that stuff is no joke. That stuff is no joke. Not to mention whatever they might be doing outside of football, because you never know what these guys is doing in their own house. Some of them are clean, some of them aren't. Weed is legal now, but the problem is, don't nobody just smoke weed, and you don't know what they putting in their bodies and all that kind of stuff. What they putting in the weed and mixing it. Not to mention if they do a little bit more than that. So it's a dangerous business, man. It's a dangerous business. So I feel some kind of way sometimes when somebody's trying to get a new contract and people call us greedy and all of that kind of stuff. I'm like, nah, this is a high risk sport. This is high risk. If you work for the utility company and you climb the telephone poles and fixing power lines, that's high risk. So they pay you more. This is no different. People say all the time, it's a privilege, not a right to play in the NFL. And I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that. Because if I busted my ass and you saw it, clearly you saw some value in me. So no, it's a little bit more than a privilege. Because if I wasn't good enough, you wouldn't have selected me and I'm making you money. So the whole privilege thing, I don't necessarily agree with that. And now you telling me I'm putting my life on the line? Come on, man. There's crazy stuff out there. Crazy stuff out there. And they don't care. They doing all of this stuff. We're going to protect the players. The only players they're protecting is the quarterbacks. The game is shifting now. So now the most dangerous position to play is the wide receiver, not the running back. Because look at the way the NFL, look at the way the league has shifted now. There's not too many people handing the ball off. Running backs are out of the backfield catching balls and screens. Run CMC, Christian McCaffrey down there, he's an excellent receiver. They're looking for the receiver more than the running back now. Derrick Henry is becoming a unicorn. You're not going to see too many people like Derrick Henry, or they draft Derrick Henry type players anymore. those guys are going to get skipped down to the 3rd through the 5th round. They're not drafting a first round running back anymore. They're not doing that stuff no more. Saquon is probably going to be the last one. So it's a lot of stuff, man. A lot of stuff. So, but listen, man, my hour's up already, man. We've been rolling through this, man. It was a good convo tonight, man. Good conversation, bro. So listen, I got to go. I'll be back next week. Tell somebody about me. Reach out, Pro Fan Perspective on Facebook. Smash my likes. Engage with me. If you're in another group, let me know. I will engage your group. We're trying to make this thing grow, man. Keep it with us. All right? Stay with us. I appreciate you dropping in, everybody in the chat. And I will see y'all next week. Y'all have a good week. Keep it popping. Talk to you later.